The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Welcome to On Cue. I'm your host, Eric Olson. On today's program, we visit with Randy Kerr from Albert Lea to learn more about business retention in that area. Cody Anderson is here to encourage everyone to plunge for pink. And we meet Austin's new fire chief, Jim McCoy. Stay with us. On Cue is next.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
Thank you for joining us here in On Cue. Jim McCoy was recently named fire chief for the Austin Fire Department. He joins us to give us an update on what's happening in the department. Welcome, Chief.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and congratulations on the appointment.
Thank you.
You've been a career, you've been in law, you've been in fire, came most recently from Rochester. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, originally from Hastings, started there as a part-time paid-on-call firefighter. Worked in Kansas City on the ambulance for about 1.5 years full-time. Then went to Independence Fire full-time and always wanted to move back home. Got hired in Rochester. Worked my way up through the ranks there from firefighter to driver to captain. And now I'm here in Austin's fire chief.
Yeah, and moving to Austin, a smaller department than Rochester, does that mean the role of fire chief is a little different than if it was in like a metro, a larger area?
I'm really more hands-on with the guys in the station. Most departments, large departments, there's the chief, and then he has deputy chiefs and battalion chiefs under that. Here it's me and then the guys on the streets.
So you're out taking calls and just with the other guys a lot of times?
Definitely respond with the crews on all the calls.
And you have 10 full-time?
10 full-time, including myself. 6 engineers, 3 commanders who run the shifts, and myself.
And fire is fire. I mean, that doesn't change. So I guess I ask a silly question, but has the type of fire that firefighters fight, has that changed much in recent years? Is it like construction types or types of chemicals? Is there anything in your industry that's kind of changing with the times, or is it pretty much the same way it's always been?
Building construction's dangerous. The way we construct buildings, they're very good on a daily basis. When put under the stresses of fire, they fail quick. And then the type of materials that we have in the homes, it's not the cottons and the wood anymore, it's the oil-based products. They burn fast and hot, and we get to flash over a lot quicker, so it's a lot more dangerous than it used to be.
What's flash? Did you say flash over?
Flash over, it's when everything in the room reaches its ignition temperature and it lights up all at once.
My goodness, so there's a lot of protection that you have to wear when you're in those kinds of situations.
Turnout gear has gotten a lot better over the years, definitely, which helps us. It's still you still don't want to be caught in there too long. Your turnout gear is only good for a couple of seconds at that point. You want to do other things, cool the area before you go in. You don't want to get caught in a flashover. That's not a good situation.
And is water the primary agent that you still use for fighting a fire?
It still is. There's other agents we can mix with it, foams, that'll help us in the long run with mostly with when we're doing overhaul. So it helps make sure the fire's out.
Before we went on air, I did admit that when I was young, and even now I watch that show, Emergency, the firefighting show, and there are a few fans of it in the professional ranks too.
Definitely. We watch it a little bit.
That's from the 70s, I think, is when
I believe so.
That was on big, popular TV show. Okay, serious stuff now. What kinds of things, you've been on the job a couple of months in Austin, do you see anything that needs some attention or some priorities? How do you sum up the department when you look at it?
It's a very good department. Our operations run well. I wouldn't say that we're in any big hurry to change anything. It's really running smooth right now. Just a tweak here, a tweak there. Stop doubling up on some clerical type stuff. There are some more calls we might want to be dispatched on in the future, and we'll look into that.
How do you get contacted? Is it strictly through 911? How many calls a day do you get? Do 911 decide, well, this is a fire call versus a police call? How does that get determined?
Mower County holds our dispatch center. They take the calls, 911 calls over there. We still do get calls into the station, and we'll respond to those also.
And sometimes there's that term mutual aid, where you go out, and how does that work? You just have cooperative agreements with the other departments, or?
Yeah, in Mower County, every department is signed up to give and receive mutual aid with each other. And then when needed, usually for water in the rural setting, we'll send a tanker out there, or manpower, whatever you need. The other departments are there for you.
And we just had this, or passed the winter, and we had a lot of cold weather problems, roads closed, schools closed, that kind of thing. That's nothing that makes fire danger greater, I would assume, or is it more of a fire danger when it's so cold and the roads are closed, whatever?
Well, the fire danger really comes with the cold weather and people heating their houses in unusual ways, using the stove or the oven to heat, and then space heaters are always dangerous.
Because of the CO2? Or no, electric space heaters.
Yeah, electric space heaters. Really putting them too close to combustible items.
Oh, okay. So it transfers the heat to a wooden chair or something?
Yeah, or a fabric chair, or something might get draped over to dry, and that's where we have our problems.
How did you become interested in this line of work?
It was probably emergency when I was younger. No, I don't know. It's something I always wanted to do. Just interested me, and I pursued it.
What about those kinds of educational outreach things that departments do, public relations? What works the best as far as making people fire safe?
We do a lot of fire extinguisher training. We do a lot at Hormel.
Now, what do you mean? Like how to run the thing?
How to run a fire extinguisher, how to put a fire out with a fire extinguisher when it's small. Always call 911. If it's safe, use a fire extinguisher. The other things we do is we go out into the community. Big one is the schools during Fire Prevention Week, but it really turns into a month and a half for us. Reaching out to the children when they're young and just a little bit older, and hitting them with the fire message.
Is it as simple as don't play with matches? Is that still a message?
Absolutely. Don't play with matches. Then when we remind the children to have their parents change their smoke detector batteries twice a year, change your clock, change your batteries. So we go out and every year the state has a message. Candles, candle fires were up for a long time. So.
Oh, that was a good question. What kind of fires are the most common in a home setting? Is there one that's usually garden variety? What happens?
A lot of cooking incidents, whether it just be small or they lead to bigger fires. But cooking's
like a grease
type fires. Yeah. So a lot of people put stuff on their stove. Their burner accidentally gets turned on, catches fire. Inattentive type things like the grease fires. Starting a pan of grease to warm it up and then walking away.
Do you ever do any kind of I'm sure you do inspections or audits for people's homes if they want to say how dangerous is my home or what problems are there?
Yeah, when invited, we'll come out there and look at your house and look for extension cords or clutter and hazardous materials or combustible materials stored too close to the water heater or the furnace. But we don't actively seek those out because you need to invite us into your home. But we will do that. We have an inspector that tries to get around every year. There's about 800 occupancies that need to be inspected. I think we did 160 some last year.
I know you interact with investigators. Do you do your own arson investigations, or is that pretty much a state function or a county function?
The state has an investigation team that'll come down and and investigate our fires when asked.
When something doesn't quite comport with what regularly happens, or how is that determination made?
Well, you look at it, and if you can't, pinpoint it right away, or most stuff should be investigated, in my opinion, to determine a cause, because when you determine causes, you can prevent fires in the future. But if a car fire starts in the engine compartment, very difficult to investigate. But a house fire, they are detectives, and they're trained in it, and that's their job.
So will we see you this summer in the parades with the fire truck going?
Probably. Probably. So.
Well, that's good public relations too, to show folks that you're out.
Yeah.
Out and about. Well, Chief Jim McCoy, thank you very much for joining us. And again, congratulations on the appointment. And thanks for your service.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. More On Cue is coming your way next.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
And we're back. We're going to learn what's happening, what's hot and happening in Albert Lea and Freeborn County. Randy Kerr, Executive Director of Albert Lea Freeborn County Chamber of Commerce, joins us. Busy year. Do you go on a January, December year?
Our actual calendar year is October 1st to September 30th.
So you're already in your 2014 plan?
Yes, we are.
Really?
Yes, we are.
What are your big goals? What do you have?
Well, I think one of our principal goals this year is working in partnership with Ryan Nolander, the relatively new Executive Director of ALEDA, the Albert Lea Economic Development Agency. We're on a program of visiting businesses, and we call it a business retention and expansion program. We go out, sit down, spend an hour with the CEO of a number of businesses in the community. We're actually doing several each month so that we work our way through the community, looking at what kind of roadblocks they're running into, what kind of opportunities they're experiencing. Are they experiencing job growth? Do they have other problems? What can we do to help them expand and grow in Freeborn County?
How about the downtown? Now, last year we had the road construction for much of the year, and now there's this beautiful new roadway there. How did the businesses fare? How's that looking?
They did pretty well. The chamber sponsored some activities down there during the course of the summer. We gave away free hot dogs on Saturday to people who braved the construction. It was a challenge, to say the least, but I think the net result, what I hear from most of them, is that their holiday season, when things had finished, was exceptionally good.
And expansion efforts, anything going on in the industrial park?
Well, there are businesses. For example, we have our speculative building that was built in the ALEDA Park right at the beginning of the recession back in 2008, and that is fully occupied now by Zumbo River Brand as part of their warehousing and distribution, and they're actually planning a 10,000 square foot expansion to their facility in the North Industrial Park. So there are some things cooking. A couple of companies that we have visited actually experienced an increase in business last year. Another one is forecasting a huge growth in the next year. So there are a lot of positive things happening, and they're adding jobs as they go.
What is the greatest challenge for developing a small business in these tough economic times, in Albert Lea, for instance?
Well, I think in the case of a small business, it's access to capital. Banks are so restricted because even our local banks have had to pay the price for the meltdown on Wall Street. So it's really difficult if you don't have a lot of collateral to be able to get a loan from a bank, and bankers are frustrated by it, as are small business owners. Then for the larger companies that are currently working, it's getting good workforce. You know, there are jobs open in town. It's just hard finding the right kind of people.
I was at a conference up in the Twin Cities with the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and the work they are doing with China, trying to attract capital into this state from China and also exporting to there. And they're very interested in small businesses. When I went to it, I figured, oh, this is going to be all the huge corporations. But the focus on both ends is the entrepreneur. To even if it's 20 or 30 jobs, both nations are interested in cultivating those, and that was a surprise to me.
Well, I think if you look back in our history, particularly in Albert Lea, you can focus on the fact that Mrs. Jerry started out with Mrs. Jerry herself and her mom and dad cooking in the kitchen to create the potato salad that has become their signature item. You know, they now employ 150 people or more. Lou Rich started with Lou Larson and Rich Ackland, just a couple of drill press operators, and now they employ close to 400 people.
Agilus?
Yeah, Agilus was 20 people. Now, seasonally, they get up nearer to 200 people. So we have a great history of what entrepreneurs can do in our community. And actually, it's interesting you bring that up because we just had a Blandon leadership group that went through the program back in September. One of their areas of focus is entrepreneurs. So they're studying how best to encourage that in the community. I know that Riverland and Dr. Adewalagan are working on perhaps immigrant entrepreneurs. And we're actually building a class for the high school next year as part of the curriculum on entrepreneurship, what it takes to start your own business. And that's unique. It's something that really hasn't been done before, so we're pretty excited about that. Our Business Education Committee, one of our representatives, and Jim Wagner, the principal at Albert Lea High School, helped write that curriculum.
I suppose it's a little more intense than our high school store that we had. Is when I was back there with the city council or with the student council, and we sold candy bars and stuff.
It's probably a little more intense than that. Yeah, it is. But you know, they'll have entrepreneurs come in. You know, you might have a Mrs. Jerry come in and talk about this is what it takes to start, and then check back with them at the end of a week. We'll have an attorney come in and talk to them about the laws they have to pay attention to as they're starting their own business. It's what we find a lot, and we have a great SCORE group, senior core of retired executives that are willing to help entrepreneurs. But what we find is a lot of people have great ideas, but it's translating those ideas into practical applications and writing a business plan and all those types of things that are difficult to do.
I can relate to that, definitely. Got all the ideas, but the follow-through, the financing, as you mentioned before, that's a big challenge. So there are resources there for folks with ideas to take advantage of, and there's an online component too, is there not, for training or getting information?
We have offered on our chamber website online training where you can go in and study some of the things that are part and parcel to starting a business or running a business. There are things that a small business owner can do. For example, you could offer for your staff the sexual harassment course. In that case, then you have been compliant with making sure that everyone is educated on what the rules are, what you can say, what you can't say, in regard to all those things. There's human resource courses, safety training.
Now you need to be a member. Is it a password access
No, actually, you don't have to be a member to utilize the course.
But you should be.
Absolutely. We are going to offer our members a special code that will allow them a discount on those courses. So there will be an advantage to being a member.
And you're getting that at albertlea.org.
Albertlea.org.
That's where those resources are located.
Right.
Surveys. I know you kind of ask folks in the business community what's going on. Are those done? Or how are you
we have some surveys that are done, some that we're actually looking at redoing and a little different. with maybe some additional questions. One that we found in our business education committee was the potential for a need for second shift childcare, that sort of thing. And it kind of, again, this is because of this partnership. In discussing with the school district, we were finding that older students were maybe not getting their homework done or coming to work tired, and it's believed that's because they're the caregivers in the afternoon for their younger siblings while their parents work the second shift at another facility. So you have a lot of things that go into that. So we surveyed a number of our members in their businesses, trying to see if that is in fact a challenge for the community. And we did uncover that it is a bit of a challenge.
A lot on your plate. Thank you for joining us.
A lot of things going.
And filling us in. Always interesting, Randy, when you come to visit us. So
thank you, Eric. Enjoy it.
We will be back with our Vision 2020 update in just a moment.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org. On Cue's Vision 2020 segment is brought to you by Hormel Foundation, Games People Play, and Turtle Creek Estates.
And welcome back to On Cue. Time now for our Vision 2020 segment. And Cody Anderson joins us from the Waterways Committee. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you are here bravely talking about the big plunge, the pink plunge, where you're going to be actually dousing yourself in the winter water.
Well, not just me. We're hoping to have at least 200 people. Our very first year, 2013, we had 100 people jumping, which was just tremendous, well beyond what we thought we could possibly do. Raised over $16,000 to help the Hormel Institute in their quest to end cancer, breast cancer. So it's a huge event for us, and we would really like to have at least 200 jumpers this year. And we think we'll break that even.
Why are you looking at me that way?
Well, I've heard that you might want to go yourself.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But this is interesting because it's a Vision 2020 idea, or to partner. Partnership's very important with with Vision 2020, and you're working with other groups, the Institute and Cancer Research, kind of getting in on this pink drive, which has been Paint the Town Pink, has been a big city initiative.
Yeah, it's been a big city initiative. It's been a huge success. Paint the Rink Pink has been going on now 4 or 5 years. That's got better every single year, and they just want to continue to expand on it. And this idea was brought up last year. It was actually given to the Vision 2020 committee. Can you guys make this happen? And then our subcommittee, the Promote Group, took it on, worked with the city of Austin, which is incredibly important. We couldn't have done it without them. I mean, they're the ones cutting holes in the water. They have firemen in the water pulling us out to make sure everything goes safe. So it's been a huge effort between the Hormel Institute, the city of Austin, and then of course Paint the Town Pink committee. It's been a huge cooperation, and it's worked well.
And what if folks want to join you? How do they get in touch with you, or how do they sign up?
Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, you can go to plungingforpink.com. It's one word, plungingforpink.com.
Plunging for Pink.
Plungingforpink.com.
Okay.
You can actually sign up on there. There's a lot of information on there. You can sign your waiver on there. You can sign your whole committee, your whole team on there. So.
And they raise funds, the people who sign up?
Right. Everyone that's jumping, we're asking for a minimum donation of $50. So if you want to jump in the frigid waters with us and help end breast cancer, all we're asking for is $50. Of course, anyone that can raise more, that's even better. We actually are going to hand out awards to whoever raises the most amount of money as an individual, whoever raises the most as a team. And we're just asking people to have fun with us. Show up in whatever goofy pink outfit you want. Last year we had guys in pajamas, we had somebody in a tutu. That's what we're looking for here. We're looking to have a lot of fun and at the same time raise funds for a truly great cause.
And this is fascinating that the Waterways Committee, I always just thought of environmental, and you have subgroups doing that, but this is kind of using the waterways for a greater goal for cancer.
Correct. I mean, there are subcommittees that deal with the education on it and improving the waterways, but like I said, ours is involved with promoting it. And we always have to think of new ways to use our water. And of course, people are thinking of ice fishing and so forth during the winter, but this was a really novel concept that we thought would get people back into the water, get them outdoors in February, and do it for a great cause.
So do you lead them in? Are you the #1 dive jumper?
No, unfortunately, I'm the last guy, so I have to watch everyone else go in, which, just, I guess it raises the anticipation, makes it a little bit more fun, but I actually announce the event, so I'll be calling everyone in, and then me and my team go last.
Wow, awesome. Well, good luck. The website again, say it one more time.
It's plungingforpink.com, one word. It's February 15th. 3 p.m. After that, we're going to have a free meal for anyone that jumps at the Holiday Inn, Torgy's, 6:30 p.m. And then the Beeson Brothers Band is playing at 8 o'clock. So the whole day is going to be full of fun, excitement, and again, for a terrific cause.
Well, thank you, Cody Anderson, for being here. Thank you for your service on this committee.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this edition of On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. We'll see you next time.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.